Have you lost a lot of time playing mobile card games like Pokémon Pocket? I know I have, and today I wanted to focus on why I think these games are so addictive and how they actually trick us into thinking that we're more skilled than we actually are. So just to get everyone on the same page, I'm going to be focusing on the battling portion of TCG Pocket because that is the part of the game that I actually enjoy interacting with. I'm not a huge fan of just collecting cards. But in general, you go into battle with a deck of 20 cards. These 20 cards contain items, Pokemon, trainers, etc. And you have to use your deck to beat down your opponent's deck. And it's this 20 card number that I think is a really interesting sweet spot because 20 cards is just big enough that there's always going to be variety in what cards are coming up in what specific order. But you always feel like you're in somewhat control because there's only 20 cards in there. What are the odds that in the next pull, I'm not going to get one of the 2 cards that I need? It always feels so reachable to get that card that you need to do your next big move. And there's just so many of these random number generated mechanics that always make you feel like it's not really your fault. Oh, they rolled 4 heads on a card. What are the odds that would happen twice in a row? You obviously should go into the next match where they're not going to get 4 heads and instantly wipe you out. Or when you get 0 heads out of 5 rolls, all of a sudden you're just like, well, my luck was just a little bit bad this time. My luck can't be this bad twice in a row. Obviously my deck is perfect. I'm in full control. And next time I'll actually get the coin flip that I need in order to win the game. It puts you into this really interesting situation where you're never mad at getting potentially outclassed or outskilled by the other person playing the game. You always are blaming either RNG or the cards that came out as to why you would have lost, and it's not like the deck that you have is just actually poorly built. Because I've had it happen multiple times where there's like 4 cards left in my deck and they just happen to all be the 4 cards that I desperately needed to actually do something. And that lets me dismiss the fact that, oh, this wasn't a real match. The cards that I needed didn't show up. This couldn't have been a real competition. Meanwhile, the person on the other side of the screen is actually having the time of their life because for once their cards actually showed up in the order that they wanted them to. And it's just this really interesting way that you can dismiss the bad moments and immediately hop into the next thing. The game also lets you take ownership like you are skilled when you do have good luck, right? Like if you start your game with 5 cards that immediately let you get off to the races running, you feel like a god. And when you get 4 out of 5 heads and do 200 damage way too early in the game, you feel too good about yourself. There are some matches that are obviously decided super early because one person just has uncharacteristically good luck. But for the most part, all of the games are balanced around the fact that everyone needs to have fairly consistent luck. But that being said, every time I lose, it's bad luck and you can't convince me otherwise. And that's why I think that 20 cards is such an interesting way to start, because you start the game with 5 cards. And if none of those cards are particularly interesting, well, let's just run an example. In my deck, I am looking for Meowscarada because I want to deal with the big EX Pokemon on the enemy team. And I have 2 of those inside of my deck. So if I don't have any Meowscarada when I start the game with my 5 cards, that means that there is a 2 out of 15 chance that I'm going to get one of the cards I need to start really dealing damage. And every time that the card doesn't come up, you start itching a little bit more because now the odds are even better that you're about to go and get the cards that you need. Or, heaven forbid, you use Professor Oak, where you can draw 2 cards from your deck. And then you always think to yourself, what is the most perfect thing that can get drawn from my deck at this time? And then sometimes it happens and you feel like a god. Because honestly, playing through this game makes me want to try and harness RNG to make the player feel like they somehow have ownership over it, because it's a hell of a formula and it makes you feel really good playing.